Hey everybody, wanted to let you know I'm headed back on tour. Friday, September 13th, I'll be in Austin, Texas at the Vulcan, one night only. Saturday, September 14th, I'm at the Granada Theater in Dallas, Texas, one night only. I'm back at the La Jolla Comedy Store Friday, September 20th and Saturday, September 21st. Salt Lake City, September 27th at the State Room, and Denver, Colorado, Saturday, September 28th at the Oriental Theater. Get your tickets for those shows and all shows on my website now at ryansickler.com.
Hey, baby, we're going to be here all day. We're going to be here all day, baby. I like this kind of party.
Welcome back to the Wayback, everybody. I am Ryan Sickler, ryansickler.com, Ryan Sickler on all your social media. Again, I'm going to start this one like I start all my episodes by thanking you. Thank you for supporting everything and anything I do. This show is so much fun. I've had such a good time. You guys are definitely digging it. The numbers show that. But what you can do to help this show is go to Apple Podcasts, give it a 5-star review. That's the stuff that helps it get up there in the algorithms and all that. It's a free way to help the show, all right? Come see me on tour if I am in town when you're around. All tickets are available at ryansickler.com. Now, I'm very excited to introduce my guest here today. First time on the Wayback. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dusty Slay.
All right. We're having a good time.
Welcome to the Wayback, Dusty Slay.
And thanks for supporting me, too. If you do. You know.
Plug whatever you'd like.
But I have a lot of shows. I do a lot of shows. You can find all my shows at dustyslay.com, just myname.com. And I have a special on Netflix called Workin Man. It's very funny. I have a half hour on Netflix under season 3 of the stand-ups, and I have a full hour of comedy on YouTube for free. All my social medias are at Dusty Slay, and I got a lot of fun stuff out there. I got a podcast I do called the We're Having a Good Time podcast, and I'm a co-host on the Nateland podcast. So all that stuff is very fun. So come check it out, and, we're having a good time over there.
If you haven't seen Dusty's Honeydew episode, go watch that. You sort of had a similar upbringing in the way I did, where you were just sort of parentless during those high school years. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about this. So growing up, your parents split. What sort of vacations are you doing? Like, where are you guys going? Are you going just with dad over to these things? Is mom doing her own thing? Like, what are you guys doing?
Well, I grew up in Alabama, but it seemed like we were going. My parents are divorced, but it seemed like whatever we were doing, it was always the same places. We went to Gatlinburg a lot, or we would go to like Panama City Beach. My mom's brother worked in hotels, so wherever he would be working currently is where we would be going on a vacation.
That's how it worked.
Yeah, because it would be like my grandmother wanted to visit her son, so my mom would take her, and then I would go along, and my grandmother. We always had a good time, but my grandmother was not like a super sweet, nice lady. She was kind of a mean, old Southern lady, and so it was like, not super fun, but also was a good time. My mom is super cool, and so we would go, he worked in Gatlinburg a lot, so we went there a bunch of times. At one point, he worked in Nashville, which is where I live now, but I remember when I was a kid coming and staying at this very nice hotel downtown. We felt so out of place because we were like right out of the trailer park to this place. It was the Hermitage Hotel is what it was called. Very nice. I've been there now with fancy managers and agents, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. I don't feel so out of place now.
This place here?
Yeah. It was very nice.
Went from the trailer park to that. Yeah, right?
Yeah, and my
Isn't
uncle...
it weird that you, like, I know what you're talking about, like, where you get in a place, you're like, we're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
You feel wrong for being in a place when you absolutely could be in there like everyone else could.
Yeah, but at the time, it was
that.
like, you're thinking, nobody...
I mean, that place looks like it's like something out of the 40s in London during the war. That thing's bad.
Yeah. And Andrew Jackson has lived in Nashville, and his home is called the Hermitage, so I'm sure that is a very old hotel.
Kirsten, do me a favor. Look up the Jefferson Hotel in Richmond, Virginia. When I went out with Tom Segura, this is where we stayed in Richmond. And I'm saying this because this was where he lived.
Oh, wow.
This is crazy. Like you're saying, that's Jackson's place. This is Jefferson's place. They've got alligators out in front of here. For some reason, he had some obsession with alligators. Yeah.
Wow.
He had some obsession with alligators. And I guess there were real ones back in the day there for a little while, but that gets problematic.
Yeah, I mean, before the internet, having your own alligators was a big deal. You know what I mean?
That's a whole nother level of security right there. Man.
Yeah,
I'll
or
tell you
also
that.
it's like now we can just Google alligators, but back then they were like, "Hey, I also got some alligators out back. If you want to go look at
out
those."
back. Yeah, these are out front in the fountain.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the kind of vacations we would go on. I mean, my dad sold insurance, so he would like win trips with his insurance company, and we went to Gatlinburg a bunch of times.
For the insurance, that's the like trips he'd win.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, he would win some other nicer ones that him and his wife would go on, but the family trips would be like Gatlinburg.
And you had mentioned NASCAR events.
My family growing up, we were big into NASCAR in the late 80s and 90s. Oh, yeah. This is great, right? This is
That's you there.
Yeah, this is in Talladega. And the two guys behind me, that's me and my sister side by side there. The two guys behind me, I posted this on Facebook, and those guys identified themselves. Now, I'm probably 10, so that's 30 years ago.
Wait, you posted it and these two guys popped up and said, "Yo, that's us"?
Yeah.
No.
And you could see it. I looked at them.
It looks like James Spader over
And my
there.
uncle is back there with the beard and the dark glasses.
The blue
behind.
hat?
Yeah. And then my cousin is the one he's got the sun. He's on the other side of James Spader there with the things hanging off his glasses.
Oh, here it looks like
Yeah.
Patrick Renna.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Little Dusty Roads over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Little Dusty Roads. And
Yeah.
this guy down front with the cigarette right here looks like futuristic Dusty
Yeah,
Slade
that's
right
who
here,
I
bro.
was
That's-
hoping to become. And then the guy behind him in the white hat, that's who I'll be later in life. This is my whole life here. But yeah,
This is what you did a lot growing up?
Yeah, we did a lot of Talladega events, and I got a Kyle Petty Mellow Yellow hat on. We all had to have our own NASCAR driver. My mom was a big Alan Kulwicki fan, so he drove the Hooters car. So we went to. I remember
Mom
going.
like the Hooters
Yeah.
driver, did she?
So I remember this is me and my mom in downtown Auburn at Toomer's Corner, which is pretty
That's
famous.
you on her shoulders?
Yeah.
The hell's in your hair there?
It's toilet paper. Toomer's Corner, in Auburn, they rolled Toomer's Corner after a win.
okay.
So Auburn had beaten Alabama for like the first time in like 10 years. And my mom took me down there, and I got a little toilet paper in my hair. Yeah, we would do we went to Atlanta Motor Speedway. I've been to Bristol, but we all had our own favorite drivers. Mine was Kyle Petty because I like Mellow Yellow, and my mom liked Alan Kulwicki, and my uncle liked Bill Elliott, my cousin liked Davey Allison. We all had our drivers, and it was like NASCAR was a big deal for us. I don't think any of my relatives are that into it anymore, but 80s and 90s, I mean, it was hot.
Big deal.
Yeah, it was hot.
So you grew up in a trailer park. What kind of stuff are you getting into as a kid in the trailer park?
Well, there was a lot of kids, and we were pretty isolated from, like, I was kind of like on the city line where it's like you could go to the school I went to, which was the city school. Oh, this is a great pick. Or you could go to the other school called Beauregard. I went to Opelika High School, or there was Beauregard, and Beauregard was more of a country school. So these kids, I'm still in contact with all these guys.
Who are these people?
Well, the main guy, the guy on the far right, this is a guy, Brandon Stepp is his name, and then I'm next to him in the yellow shirt and the bandana, and then Brandon's brother Greg is in the Mountain Dew shirt, and then this is James Decker on the far end with no shirt on.
Is this your dad?
No, this would have been Brandon and Greg's grandfather.
Oh, okay.
And I only met him like maybe that day, but this was a Polaroid that we took, and I love this picture. But yeah, we would get into all sorts of stuff. Because they all went to the country school, and I went to Opelika. So most of my friends weren't out there, so we were just getting into our own stuff. We rode bikes a lot. We played basketball. We weren't great at basketball, so we were like creating our own kind of horse games, like different basketball games. Or my mom had this, I don't know, she had these boards, a bunch of boards with a hole in the middle of them. So, and we had a real kind of trashy yard. Everybody would bring stuff to our yard, and we were
What do you mean bring stuff? Like landfill? Like you just let people throw trash on it?
Well, I guess you could consider it trash, but we would
Their
just
trash,
bring
at
stuff.
least.
We would be like, oh yeah, we were kind of a messy family, and I would, if not for my wife now, I would still be a very messy person.
Are you guys getting stuff? Like I had a friend of mine one time, and his relatives in Pennsylvania, had a lot that they lived on, and they allow people to dump their garbage on it as landfill and charge for it. And I was like, at their house, like on their property? He's like, yep.
Oh, wow. No,
I was like, but are you like getting shit and blowing it up back there?
Yeah,
'Cause
we
I feel
weren't-
like you have land back there. Do you have open fields and shit?
Yeah, we did. We weren't monetizing it, but we had. It's like behind our trailer was just woods. And so we had a spot cleared off. I don't know exactly what she did, but my mom had a spot cleared off, and she bought a tiller at one point, and we had a really big garden back there for a couple of years. But we would burn a lot of stuff. We were always burning. We always had a fire going. I remember when I was a late teen, I threw a tire on a fire one time because, they say don't burn tires, but I really wanted to see why they said that. And it is intense.
It is intense.
It is like the blackest smoke I've ever seen. The fire department came. They were like, "You're not allowed to do this." And I'm like, okay. I knew, but I'm like, well, I won't do it again. I needed to see what that was all about. And
I needed to see why we're not allowed to do it.
And it is a thick smoke. But we used to burn all sorts of things. But I remember we had a kitten one time for a little while, and I don't know whose kitten it was, but we started building like a little obstacle course for the kitten. Like it was like the kitten was in a box, and it kept finding a way out. So we kept building new things on it to see, like we weren't hurting the kitten, but we were trying to see if we could keep it in by just building all these things. And it just kept getting out. And it was like the most fun that we had ever had, I think.
I worked at a junkyard where instead of dogs, we had feral cats.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 30, 40 of them at a time. You could never find them. You'd see one or two running around, but the minute we would take a hubcap and put the dry food in it, they would come from everywhere.
Yeah.
We'd have to have a few hubcaps and feed them, but they got to be a problem. They got to be so many of them reproducing. So one day the boss is like, hey, can somebody round some of these cats up, take them to the shelter? So this redneck that's driving the rollback that day is like, yeah, I got this one right here in a box. I'll take it to the shelter. And he tapes it up in the box. And while it's in the box, he starts poking holes in it. We're like, you're supposed to do that before you put the fucking thing in the box, you fucking hillbilly. But he's got a bunch of holes in the box. He's overdone it. Boxes, it's a little weak.
Oh, it's getting fragile.
It's got some weak spots.
Yeah.
So he leaves. He's supposed to be gone for a few hours. He's delivering something and coming back. He comes back in 20 minutes. Dusty, this dude's face is all fucking cut up and bloody and shit in his arms. Like, what the fuck happened? He said, that thing got loose in the cab, just started fucking me up. We're like, what'd you do with it? He's like, I just opened the door and let it run out into a field. I didn't even give a fuck. I was like, yeah, dude, that thing will kill you, man.
Yeah, cats are wild. That's why a lion or a tiger is terrifying.
With
because
the power
a small,
that thing has? Yeah.
small cat can be so brutal.
Right, imagine.
I was in Panama City Beach one time and in a hotel, and this lady was banging on the wall. She was going, help, 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 for a long time. And we, I don't remember I was a kid. I don't remember exactly what happened, but somehow we got in there to her room, and she was like watching a cat, and the cat had scared her so much that she locked herself in the bathroom, and they said the cat had her trapped in there. But cats are terrifying. They're a wild, wild animal.
Yeah, they're not like you, little
No,
lady.
this is a sweet dog here.
She's a good girl.
But, and...
Did you have pets growing up?
I had pets. I had a dog. I had a dog named Grunt was its name. When it was a little puppy, it would make a grunting noise. So we decided to name it Grunt. It was a great dog. But like all my pets growing up, like you got them, and then one day they're just gone.
Oh, really?
I don't know what happened.
No one died. They ran away, or someone stole them, or whatever.
I would go away to my dad's for the weekend, and then I would come back, and either my pet had died or would just be gone. And my friend, James Decker, told me, who's the guy with the shirt off in that pic, told me he saw my mom loading up Grunt into the dog pound truck. That's what he said. And
the dog pound truck?
Yeah. And I asked my mom about it. She denies it. She says, oh, no, of course not. But that's what James said. I don't know why he would say that, but but that's what he said. And I had a frog. I caught a bunch of tadpoles one time, and I kept them in this aquarium, and I kept them in there for so long that I guess winter came and it froze over. The top froze over, and I remember making the joke like, "Oh, I bet they're all dead now." But I picked it up, and there were two still alive. So I chiseled out the hole, and then my mom helped me with it. She ended up dropping one of them down the drain. So we had one tadpole left, and I kept it and raised it till it became a frog.
You really did.
Yeah.
NFL Week 1 is here, and a new season means new ways to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like picking a player to score a touchdown. Right now, they got the Chiefs favored over my Ravens by 3 and the over-under at 46. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the best place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Sickler. That's code Sickler for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium on us. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms and NFL.com/terms.
It became a frog, and I had it in an aquarium, and then it just, it died one day while I was gone to my dad's house.
Your mom's getting rid of everything.
And, even when her boyfriend at the time brought a bullfrog tadpole over, and it got out.
That's the big-headed one, isn't it? Yeah.
And it got out, and we found it, like, under a rug in the kitchen, like, it was all dry, like it had been smashed. And
it was trying to evolve and make it.
I don't know how long this thing was under the rug before we found it, but to be dry now, but...
So when we did your honeydew episode, you reminded me a lot of my growing up where you were just a house with no parents.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of those legendary Dusty Slay house parties.
Well, I was always a good kid, and then I started getting into partying, and I started I realized that I had this freedom of my mom's house to just party at. And people, it started off with just a few of my dude friends, and we would just get somebody to go buy us some liquor. And then we would just sit around and do shots and get drunk. And
are you getting someone old enough in the crew or someone's brother and they come back party with you? Or are you out at the liquor stores? You go, yo, will you? Because we used to pull up to a liquor store, see a dude with the beer and be like, will you, here's $50. We just want a case. Keep the change.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes they would do it. Sometimes they would not do it.
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything like that. Sometimes you have a friend that's old enough or has a fake ID, and other times it's like, you're like hanging out at the gas station or the liquor store being like, can you buy this? We used to do that with cigarettes a lot. In Alabama, you have to be 19 to buy cigarettes.
Really?
Yeah.
Even back then?
Yeah. Even back then. It's still 19 now as far as I know. Like, people would travel down to Panama City. I would run into them, and they would be 18, and they would be driving through Alabama trying to get cigarettes, and they couldn't get them. I remember thinking that was so tragic. I was like, oh, how'd you do it? But it's just, it's a few hours and you're out of there. But yeah, these, it just started off as small gatherings with my friends, but they just started to grow and grow and grow. And then as we would get older, would go from drinking to, and then I would get into weed. And then people were like, oh, Dusty's into weed. And so now all the people that wanted to smoke weed would go to my house. I remember one time I had a bunch of people in the living room. Now, my mom's house is like a log cabin house, really high ceilings. So we were all just sitting there. I bet I had 20 people in the living room. We were just sitting in a circle. We did this a lot, just in chairs, big open area. And we were all just smoking weed. I mean, the house was so smoked up. And then I see my mom turn into the driveway, and I go, oh no. And I go, that's my mom. And I just meet my mom outside. I go, I just want you to know you're not going to like it when you get in there. But my mom was cool. I mean, she was mad about it, but she really didn't harass me too much about it. But it's like, as my mom,
she wasn't the mom that would call the other kids' moms in the house and be like, your son's over here smoking weed with my kid.
No, my mom
or
was
vice
just
versa. Did you ever have any of their parents call her and be like, your son's a bad at setting a bad example?
Maybe that might have happened. But my mom was cool. I mean, my mom really didn't care. She was more like disappointed in me that I was smoking up the house and doing drugs. Because, you know, I don't really think of weed as drugs, and I don't think most people do now. But back then, I mean, weed, I might as well have been smoking crack.
Yes, 100%.
You know? My first time my mom found a bong, she did think that's what I was doing. She did think I was smoking crack. Because it was a glass bong with a slide.
There's people out there that definitely do it.
I mean, a glass slide doesn't look that much different than a crack pipe, you know? And we... I found a crack pipe one day. I was walking in California. I was walking in between San Francisco and San Jose. What is that? Sunnyvale? Rooster T. Feathers. I was doing that club, and I was walking, and I found this little thing on the ground. It was like a little pouch, like for headphones, and I go, oh, that's pretty cool. And I was like, I could use one of these. And I opened it up, and there was a crack pipe in there, and I was like, well, we'll just zip that back up. And
somebody might look for that.
Yeah, just go ahead and put that back down. But yeah, it's like, so, but as this started to catch on that I had this spot, you know, more and more people started to come there, and it started to become a cool place. Like, people from other towns would come there. A lot of,
that's when you know. Other schools, other towns. Yeah.
And, you know, and then, you know, a lot of girls started to come, and I was like, now this is a real party. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, we would have music going. One prom night, I think I was in 11th grade. I didn't go to my senior prom, but 11th grade, I remember me and my prom date, we were all playing, me and her were like both in our underwear, like, and we're both married to different people now. She's a very respectable woman. But we were both we're both in our underwear. Like, I like have her up in the air on, like, her legs are on my shoulders, and we're dancing in and it was a blast. I mean, it was those kind of parties where people would get naked pretty often. I've gotten completely naked at my own parties and just ran
in front of everybody.
In front of everybody, and just ran. And
you're that guy. You're the one. We used to have that guy too. Oh God, it would make me laugh, sorry, because you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
You just didn't know if it was 2 hours in, 3 hours in, you didn't know. And I remember we're all at my buddy Shannon's house. He had a pool in the backyard, and it's got this, you know, you got to have the fence around. It's got this little patio area around it. We're all just grilling and hanging out, drinking. And now it's summer, so now it starts to get dark. So it's probably like 9 o'clock or whatever. And I just hear somebody going, Ryan. I'm like, somebody call my name, and I hear Ryan. And I like look over the little deck area, and it's our buddy. He's buck fucking naked. I started like, oh, here he goes. Yeah. And he just starts screaming and like, woohoo, drawing attention to himself. There's neighbors out there and shit, but he's just buck naked.
Oh, yeah.
Running around the party.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a you know, it's a freeing feeling, you know. It is hanging out. You're like, you know, I've gotten so drunk now that I'm beyond caring about anything.
Yeah, I
like,
guess so, yeah.
It's a good time. And yeah, my mom's house had a long front porch, so we would all just hang out there. And in the summer after I graduated high school, it was like we were there day and night, just hanging out on the porch. I remember I had a friend that went to jail one time, and we were hanging. I don't know
what did he go to jail for.
We never really knew. I think with this guy, he got in trouble for something, and then he kept violating his probation, to where it would just be small things, but it was like, well, you violated your probation, so now you have to go to jail. He went to jail several times. He's out now. But I remember one time he wrote me a letter from jail talking about how he wanted to clean up when he got out of jail. And then he came to my house. He's like, I don't want to be smoking weed anymore. And he came to my house, and like my other buddy, like just a real jackass kind of guy, still my friend, But he just lights up a blunt in there right in front of the guy that he knows he's trying to quit. By the end of the night, we're all partying. We're all high.
He's all back right away.
Yeah, it's like it didn't last long at all. But we were out there in the street. We had a sign that said, "Bring John back." And we were trying to get money from people. We were telling them we were trying to get money to bring our friend John, get him out of jail. I don't know what we thought we were going to do with the money, but we raised $20 and then we bought
$20
and we bought weed.
and John stayed in jail.
Yeah. But it's like and I had a mice. I went to this pet store one day and I bought these 2 mice, a male and a female, and they had babies, and then they started having more babies, and I started buying all these aquariums, and then we were getting the mice high all the time. We would blow shotguns down into the cage, and they, I don't know if they liked it or not.
What would they do?
They would just get real still. They wouldn't, and it felt, we were always like, oh, they're having so much fun. They're so high. But I'm sure they were terrified.
You probably didn't know what was going on.
But my buddy would sell weed, and he would go buy whatever amount he would buy, and then he would come to my house and he would break it up into bags. And this was old, like swag weed, so it would have 1 million seeds in it. So he would have all these seeds and he would put them in a bag, and then he would give them to me, and it's much like your cat story. I had a huge aquarium full of mice, but there was just tunnels and stuff, and you really wouldn't know how many mice were in there. But I had a little bowl at the top of the cage, and I would put some of those weed seeds in the bowl, and mice would just come out from everywhere
for weed seeds
and just surround. And we don't know if they just like the weed seeds or if they were just starving. We have no idea. And they're just like, food is here. But it's like, I even caught a wild mouse. It's like mice would get out. Things were getting real dirty around the house. And there was like a wild mouse in a bathroom, and I caught it. I had a dustpan, and it would run up the dustpan, and then I would put a cup over top of it, and that's how I would catch the mouse. And I put the wild mouse in there with all these other mice, and it ended up having babies with one of the tame. I mean, things got really weird in the cage. I had one mouse that I kept in a cage with creatine water and a wheel, and he looked real muscular.
Buffy.
Yeah, I don't.
Creatine water in the mouse cage.
Yeah, he seemed real buff.
Is he just running in that wheel?
Yeah, just running all the time.
Smoking and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it got weird around there. I had a girl one time come over to my house, and she came into my room, and she was like, "Oh, I did not see this coming." She was like, I had no idea you were living like this. She ended up being okay with it, but she was like, "I did not see this coming."
We had lizards, chameleons, iguanas. I remember we used to have aquariums with a heat rock. You're supposed to put a heat rock because it's cold at night. And we'd wake up in the morning, and those chameleons would be fried dead on that thing, brown as shit. We're like, what the fuck, man? It's just cooking them. And it's warm at best, and it's cooking these things in there. We're waking up to dead chameleons all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, pets are cool, but they will die. I mean, it's like, especially these in an aquarium, it's like, now I feel like we have the internet, right? So we're all able to look up things and take care of things. But it's like when you're a kid or you're on drugs, it's like
a kid or on drugs.
Right? You forget about the lives you've taken on to take care of.
There are a lot of practice animals back then, for people to learn how to do it today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, where my dad lives on a farm, and we had a lot of different animals there. My dad had cows and horses and, dogs.
Then would you actually milk cows and stuff? Or
never
were they
milked cows. They were Angus cows.
Okay.
So I never milked cows, but I did, I have messed around with cows a bit, having to, get them in a catch pen to tag their ear.
Did you ever cow tip?
Never cow tipped. They say that's not really a thing.
Yeah, we tried it one time. I'll tell you, we tried it one time. We were like, is this really a thing? And then we went out one night in a field. We jumped over the fence, and it was just maybe a dozen cows. It's dark. They're just, they don't move. We went right up. And also, they're massive.
Yeah.
Like, if you've really never been up next to a cow, they're fucking massive.
Oh, yeah.
And one person isn't pushing that motherfucker down.
Yeah.
So two of us are trying to push this thing, and it's not even like budging.
Yeah.
And also, it's not even. We're not even it's still eating, like fuck this dude.
Yeah, the cow's like, what's going on?
And I don't know if we hit it in a spot that it didn't like, but that motherfucking thing said, "Rah." And that was the night I learned how fast cows can fucking run. They can haul. That thing chased us, head down, ready to go. We were sprinting. We jumped over that fucking fence, but I was blown away by how big that fucking thing, how quick that big thing moves.
Yeah, I mean, cows are wild. I mean, I had there was a couple that this guy where my dad lives. He always wanted to be a farmer, so he like retired from whatever business he was at. He bought some land and moved to where my dad lives. And they started this like bull farm, and they were raising cows and all sorts of different things. And they had some issue with a cow and the calf. And they were like him and his wife were out there trying to like take care of them. And these cows started kicking them and like almost killed them. The lady had to be airlifted out of there.
It caught her like that?
Yeah, I mean, they got really messed up. I mean, cows are wild.
Yeah, that's a weird animal.
And my dad used to yell at us a lot, and he would be like telling us to push the cows in, get around behind it. He and we're like, we're little kids here. We're not.
One of those to the dome, and it's over.
We're not trying to get our head kicked out.
Yeah, for real.
I mean,
do you guys, Kirsten, you have any questions for Dusty?
I have one. Have you ever considered going blonde again?
Oh yeah, look at that pic.
Short blonde hair on Dusty Slay.
Yeah, this was Eminem was pretty popular during this time. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Got the Nike Dope Mans on. I mean, that's probably
got a camo hat sitting up nice and high.
Some off-brand Jinkos there.
Dr. Pepper and some pizza on that plate right there.
Yeah. it was a good look for me. I mean, look at all the
What
women.
grade do you think you're in there?
Middle
school, early high
I'm
school?
thinking 11th grade probably.
Okay.
Yeah, look at all the women, though, around that look.
They loved you, huh?
Yeah.
Did you lose your virginity in the trailer?
No, in my mom's house at a party.
All right.
Yeah.
So that was after you got out of the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I moved out of the trailer at 14.
But then you went back and got that trailer.
Yeah.
And it became a party pad again.
It did. It became, and even more so in a lot of ways. Now, we're all out of high school.
Right. Now you can get beer and drugs and everything, too.
And I'm also like, it is my own place. Like, there's nothing even to trash in there. I got a lot of pictures of, that trailer and being in there partying. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, we would sit in there. I mean, I remember one night we were all playing like Tekken Tag. We had PlayStation 2, me and a bunch of buddies, and we're just all smoking cigarettes inside, smoking weed, and it was like, this is like the greatest time to be alive. It is like, I look back, I mean, like, I love my life, but I look back on those days, I'm like, we didn't have anything to do at all.
I mean, I'm going to say this. It sounds wild. My dad's dead. My mom's gone. And I got to tell you, those were fucking still, even with that there, those were still great fucking times.
Yeah.
Great days, great nights. Just laughing a lot. Watching people do stupid shit, doing stupid shit, getting crazy.
Yeah. Laughing all the time.
All the time.
I mean, that's what we would do. That's what, like, weed now.
Like, as a comedian, would you say, like, I say it all the time, I grew up around, everyone in our crew was funny. Everybody was funny. Any one of them, if they really would have applied themselves and tried to go into this crazy business and do it, I believe any one of the people I know could have been successful in comedy in some way.
Yeah,
I'm not saying stand up, but these days there's so many different ways to comede,
Yeah, I mean, it's like if we had, social media back then, in a lot of ways it would have been very negative.
I would not even be here with you right now. There's no way, dude. No
but it's like, would they have been, those people had built a following. I mean, a lot of them probably would, but yeah, it's like there's no, if the stuff I would have posted.
Your trailer, if that was a page, would have had more followers than we would have had. You know what I mean? Just the trailer itself.
That would
go
be
to
wild.
Dusty's place.
That would be wild. Also, the cops would know about it.
That's true, too. Dude, thank you for coming on here and doing this. This was great. promote whatever you'd like again, please.
Well, like I say, I got a Netflix special called Workin Man. It's very funny. And, on the end of the Netflix special, I got a couple of old pictures. You can see a picture of me and my mom at Hooters and that kind of stuff. It's very fun. My dates are all listed on my website, dustyslay.com. All my social media is Dusty Slay. Got a couple of podcasts I do myself called the We're Having a Good Time podcast, the Nateland podcast. And, so come see a show. I'm always writing new jokes, so any of my jokes I'm doing now are completely different than my special, but, even if you saw me 6 months ago, there may be a lot of different stuff in there, so appreciate you.
Appreciate you, dude. Thank you for coming on. As always, Ryan Sickler on all your social media, ryansickler.com. Go get tickets. Come see me on tour. Tickets are available at ryansickler.com. We'll talk to you all next week.